Hey guys, welcome back to the JPM Performance channel. It is once again time for a shop tour. Here we are in the first full week of December, December 7th. Appreciate any of you that got onto our sale for the hoodies and the sweatshirts last week. We sold quite a few of them. You should have those before Christmas, so keep your eye on the mailbox. It'll be heading your way here in just a couple weeks, I would imagine. Yeah, about 2 weeks. So keep your eyes open for that. But thank you for all of you that ordered that. So shop tour time. Got a few interesting things to look at today. You just never know what I actually am going to have apart on this day. So, you know, I get a lot of stuff done during the week, but you guys don't get to see it all. But something I wanted to show you here, which is kind of interesting. I'm getting ready to do a new transmission for Doug Weaver's F Production Miata. And we use these Quaife close ratio gears. And what I wanted to show you guys was the difference in the pitch. You can kind of see the thickness. This is a stock input shaft. This is the Quaife input shaft. Take a look at the difference in not only the angle of the gear, but also the thickness of the gears, much thicker. That's so we have really strong gears that can withstand the trials and tribulations of racing. Now I will warn you, when you get into a transmission that has, you can see these aren't straight cut, but they're a lot more straighter than these. So Mazda originally puts these angles, and every manufacturer does this, they put that angle, the helical cut, to quiet the gear down, because nobody in a street car wants to hear this whining all the time, right? You will get some whining from this gear set. So brand new gear set. These are kind of cool. They're not easy to get, but they are pretty cool. You can see we can change the gears on the counter shaft. We've got all new gears throughout. Much closer ratios, input shaft, needle bearings, the whole shot. So just kind of getting cases ready and getting prepped for that. Over here, I got something that is kind of fun for me to do every now and then, because it's a street car. So this is a 97 NA Miata, just pretty much bone stock. And you can see by my pile of parts here that I've got all sorts of stuff we did. An original timing belt and water pump. This thing's only got 100,000 miles on it, but you know, 35 years. So that's 35? If it's a 97, 35 years. I can never do math. But my tip of the day is this. You see this little O-ring? This is the O-ring for what they call the crank angle sensor. Now the crank angle sensor on an NA Miata is actually runs off of the camshaft back here. It's this big round circular looking deal. These O-rings, after 30-something years, get hard, and what happens to them is they get brittle and they crack. This is like the #1 oil leak that you will see in an older original NA Miata. If you've got one of these cars and you're getting a little oil leak, because it runs off the back of the engine, runs all over the transmission, and it just becomes a disaster. You'll see oil all the way underneath. Odds are it's about a $5 O-ring. Tip of the day. Crank angle sensor O-ring. So got all this stuff replaced, looking pretty good. Moving this direction, got in our current F Production National Champions engine to be put back together from the post runoffs teardown. Yes, Ken Kennard's runoffs winning engine just came in this box. So after the runoffs, if you win, sometimes they make you do it if you're even second or third. I don't know why they do, but they'll make you yank the cylinder head off. Sometimes in the past, they've made us pull oil pans. They didn't make us pull the oil pan this year, but got to get this motor back together so that Ken has it for the upcoming racing season, and then we're going to do another one for the runoffs for next year. So that's what we've got coming in here. Completely finished up the S2000. Got all the little details done, all the corner weight and alignment, but this car didn't have a fuel test port. And so I wanted to show you guys what I prefer for fuel test ports. I get these from Pegasus, and it's what they call a Jiffy Tight connector. So this car had a plug right here in the end of the fuel rail, and I put these little caps on here just to keep the dirt out of it. But when you go to impound, you can just clip that on there, get enough hose to where you can get away from the engine compartment, and you can get your fuel sample port. You see a lot of the fuel test ports that are just like inline, and then you push them in for the sample to come out. Man, these are so much better. You've got a solid connection, and it just, you can actually, depending on your car, if you've got a fuel pump that you can just turn on, you can completely pump your fuel out of your tank very easily. I like to use the 3/8 hose because it goes quicker that way. But that's maybe a second tip of the day, but just kind of the way I do it. So there you go, fuel test port example. All right, Mazda 2. Constantly chipping on this car, obviously. Couple of things that have happened. Actually got to spend a little bit more than 15 minutes a day this past week because I spent some time on it over the weekend. But we've got the AIM dash up. You can hear that noise is the digital radio base coming up. And I've got a lot of the wiring hooked up. You can see it kind of looks like a mess right now, but I'm going to get this all loomed up and fixed once I know that everything's working properly. One of the things I was working on, and I knew I had a little bit of a problem, and I felt this when I first got this car, but in the front suspension, I ended up having to change the transmission at the June sprints, and when I pulled the nut for the front axle, this left front wheel bearing felt kind of loose, so I didn't really have anything with me at the time to do anything about it. But over the winter here, I'm doing a little inspection. So I ended up pulling the nut, you know, which is how you get the front axle off, and here's the bearing. And these are supposed to be a press fit, right? So here's another hub, and this is the bearing. I mean, I can't put that in there because these are a press fit into these bearings. Here's the condition that this one was in. This thing was just wobbling around. This just slides right in. So the washer and the hub are completely destroyed. So while I'm at it, of course, take it all apart. New bearings, get the hubs all cleaned up. Here's the circlips. This is just kind of part of what I like to do over the winter. Just inspect everything. Just take your time. Like I say, just little bits here and there. Take your time and find a couple things. So that was probably going to end up being a major situation for me. Fortunately, we're going to get it all fixed. Going to pack some wheel bearings. Yeah, look at this. Look at this washer. So this washer on this side is supposed to be flat, and you can see how beveled and bent it is. So this is the washer that went up against the inner bearing, between the bearing and the axle. So take your stuff apart. If you don't wait all winter before you start prepping your car, you'll find this kind of stuff. So keep after it. I hope you guys have been working on your race cars. I appreciate you watching these videos. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you soon. Take care.